Hey everybody, welcome to Hands-On Games. And in this episode, I'm going to talk to you about a web-published free print-and-play game called Utopia Engine, designed by Nick Hayes and published by Nevermore Games. So if you're like me, you like all sorts of games, and you're always willing to try out something new. And over on Board Game Geek, every year they have contests for the best print and play game, the best free print and play game. And sometimes I believe these make it actually into Kickstarters and they actually go into production, but they always have humble beginnings as print and play. And Utopia Engine is one game that I saw pop up on these lists in previous years. I printed this out a while ago and finally got a chance to try it yesterday, and I really liked it, so I thought I would just share my experience with everybody. It's really simple to get into this game. You just print out this rule sheet, which was I thought it was really well done. Only took me about 20 minutes to figure out the game. It's about 10 pages and tells you everything you need to know in a very clear and concise manner. And the two game sheets, you have the area where you're going to search, you have some counters for your stores, your tool belt, the time track, your hit points, and the doomsday tracker. And back at your workshop, you have the areas where you're going to try to activate the Utopia Engine. I'll explain more about that in a second, as well as your combat charts and search charts. This all works really well together to produce a game that has a very small footprint. Besides these sheets, you just need a pair of dice and a pencil, and you're all set to play. I do business travel quite often, so this is going to be great for airplanes. And you can also replace these dice with your favorite dice roller on your phone. So this episode today is mostly for people that like to try a quick game, plays out in about 15 or 20 minutes, that travels well, and that's free. So if you want to learn more, stick around. Okay, so let me give you a little backstory because the developer did a great job. Nick did a great job of developing a backstory for this game. So in this story, you play as Isidoros, a talented artificer who has been charged with reconstructing a fabled device called the Utopia Engine. The Utopia Engine is an assembly of several powerful artifacts called constructs that sustained an idyllic society millennia ago. And on this page, it's tracking the constructs that you found. Using years of research based on scraps of crumbling text, you have finally deduced the locations of the engine's 6 primary constructs. And they're on this sheet, and this is where you're going to have to go searching for them. Your guild believes that these 6 constructs are enough to reactivate the Utopia Engine. All that's left is for you to recover them, activate their internal energies, and reassemble the engine. Standing in your way are unscrupulous leaders, deadly terrain, and violent creatures, but even more pressing is the fast-approaching doomsday. For generations, a machine known as the God's Hand, the pride of the artificers, has been staying the apocalypse. But now that the end is so close, the device is failing. It is believed that the ancient Utopia Engine is the only way left to avert the apocalypse. You have 2 weeks to reconstruct and activate the engine. If you fail, the world will be destroyed. Okay, so the goal of the game is to activate the Utopia Engine before Doomsday arrives. And Doomsday is being tracked on this time tracker in the upper right hand corner of the sheet. You can fail many ways. You can hit Doomsday before you activate the engine. You can run out of hit points and effectively die. And the game does provide, though, with a score mechanism. So you're not going to activate the Utopia Engine every game and win out, but you are going to have a score tracker in order to see how well you did compared to your previous playthroughs. And I really like that. It makes it fun to try, do better next time and try different strategies. And of note, for those of you that go to Board Game Geek and check this game out on the forums, you will see there's a thread in there that does, it is, I think in the thread it says this is a spoiler if you keep reading. I think folks have figured out the strategies of this game, or at least one person has, and and the developer Nick is working on an updated version that's going to maybe rebalance things. But I've avoided that thread, and I'm still enjoying this game. I've said I've only played it once, so at some point I may figure out the optimal strategy, but I'm not worried about that yet. I'm going to keep working on getting my score higher and higher. So the actual gameplay mechanisms in this game I find really enjoyable. In your search for the components of the Utopia Engine, you're going to be traveling to 6 different locations. And at any given time, these 6 different locations may have different events happening. I won't go into that now, but that's something that you take care of with event cycles in the game. The different locations are really well fleshed out in terms of design. You've got Hailbird Peak, the Great Wilds, Root-Strangled Marshes, Glassrock Canyon, Ruined City of the Ancients, and the Fiery Maw. Okay, so the way that searching for components is done in this game is a lot of fun. You'll notice that when you go to a location, you're first going to tick off one of these boxes, and if there's a -1 in that box, it's telling you that you need to move 1 space ahead in the time track. So there's your time track kind of winding its way around. And when you do move to an E on that time track, that means there's an event cycle, which will cause different things to happen in different locations, which will affect your searches for items, battles with creatures, etc. Now, when you actually make your way to a location and you move the time track, you're going to start rolling dice. And you'll see that for each search action, there's 6 slots here. Those slots are for the die values. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to get a component. To get a component, you need the difference between the top and the bottom. When you subtract the bottom row from the top row, you need that to equal anywhere from 0 to 10. If you get a perfect 0 search, that's something I'll talk about in a second. That's even better, if you can get the numbers to line up. You don't want that number to be negative. You don't want the bottom row to be higher than the top row, because that'll cause an encounter with a monster, which can sometimes lead to good results, good special treasures found or something like that. But in general, I like to play it safe. I'm trying to avoid those encounters. So you want the difference between those 2 rows to be small and positive. And it's cool. It's just a little puzzle. You roll the dice and you have to figure out the best place to put the results. So that's how you search for items. I mentioned that if you get these 2 rows to be exactly the same, not only do you find the component, but it's automatically activated. What do I mean by activated? Well, there's a similar mini game. After you find a component, you go to your workshop. And in the workshop, you're going to try to activate that component if it's not already activated. Similar mini game over here where you're rolling dice and you're putting the values in these squares. And in this case, you're trying to get the difference of those values to be as high as possible. So if you have a 6 up here and a 1 down here, that's a difference of 5. That gives you 2 energies, which is awesome. And if you have a difference of 4, say a 6 and a 2 or a 5 and a 1, that gives you 1 energy. You're trying to fill up this this column over here with 4 to activate. If you can't do it on your first try, another day is going to pass. If you can't do it on your second try, another day is going to pass, and you do activate it, but at the expense of a couple days, which is pretty brutal. When you're over here and you're gathering energy, when you're trying to turn on your components or activate your components, if you get any extra energy, what you can do is you can spend it with the God's Hand device, which will stay the Doomsday track a little bit, which will delay Doomsday coming, so you can buy just a little bit more time. So I am not going to do a playthrough of this game. It's so easy to learn and so quick, and there's so many cool things to discover the first time that you play and the second time that you play that I want folks to see all these cool things for themselves as they play through the game. As I mentioned before, I believe Nick is working on a future edition of this game, which might tighten up some of the rule sets and change some of the strategies you're going to have to incorporate a bit, which is awesome. And I think of those of us who are fans are really looking forward to that. But hey, this game is extremely playable as it is, and I highly recommend it for some light, quick fun that will have you rolling the dice and figuring out the best way to apply those dice to your searches and to your attempts to activate your components, and hopefully turning on the Utopia engine and saving civilization as you know it. All right, if you like this video, please click the like button. If you like the series of videos that I've got going on this channel, please subscribe. Love to have more subscribers, more people following along. Please join us over on the Facebook page where I'm usually posting information about my gaming sessions, interesting games that are coming up. So please join us over on Facebook. And finally, I will put links below in the show notes on how you go ahead and get a copy of this game for yourself. Thanks for watching.